Hey guys, so last video did really good and I can't stop smiling really. So thanks a lot everyone who shared, liked, commented, viewed the video. Okay, thanks a lot. So basically this series getting started with is a series where in each video I take a new framework, language or anything like that and try to explain it or try to get started with it, because according to me the most difficult task is to get started. I hope you feel that too, and if you do, welcome. So in this video we are going to be taking a look at Svelte, a JavaScript framework, and it's getting very popular these days. Even some of the React developers are switching to it. I won't say switching it, but yeah, started to trying it out. Okay, so yeah, it's very new technology actually. Okay, it was initially released in 2016, which is really new. Initial release is very new. Anyways, so it's basically very new, and most of the developers are switching to it. I have said a lot, write less code. Okay, no virtual DOM, truly reactive. Okay, we can start off like this, but it has really good tutorial, so let's wait and follow that. Okay, so yeah, there are a couple of examples. Looks like we can write normal HTML, but in HTML we can use braces. That's cool. Okay, so we can import, and there's style, we can style it. We can have components. Okay, we have components, we can import components and everything. Okay, good, looks cool. Okay, we can change the state like this only. Okay, I had tried it out, sorry. Okay, so if we toggle it, there's a cool animation here, a custom transition. Okay, we look at everything and who's using Svelte. Okay, I know Phillips. I know GoDaddy. Oh, okay, GoDaddy is also using. Nice. I know no well, I don't know. Okay, and we can contribute to it. Okay, so let's jump to the tutorial, because we don't want to set up our development environment just right yet. So let's jump to tutorials. Okay, so they have pretty cool tutorial, like they have editor here, they have output window here, they have even console here, and they have arranged the things here. Okay, so yeah, it's a lot. I won't read everything. I know the video was getting really long, so I would cut it short. Okay, so we'll just see the execution and explanation, not the reading part. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so Svelte is like any other JavaScript frameworks like React and Vue, that is component based, but the main difference is that Svelte converts the app to ideal JavaScript at build time rather than at runtime like React or Vue. I haven't used Vue, so we might use it, but yeah, like React does. If you know React, it's good. But to follow this tutorial, you would need HTML, CSS and basic JavaScript understanding, okay, so that we can follow along. Okay, so basically in this tutorial we saw how to navigate through the tutorials, and we saw what's component. One or more component build an app. Okay, so what it does, basically one component is .svelte file, and it contains the HTML, CSS and JavaScript of that component in same file. That's what a component is. Okay, so in this one we see how we can set a state basically. So we can here add script tags, and we can say let's add an indentation here. Okay, let name equals, let's say, urban. Okay, and we can add a, okay, so there's no world, that's why we are getting that warning, but we can say name. Okay, so hello urban. Basically inside this curly braces we can use it inside our HTML. That's not actually HTML. I don't know what they're calling. In React we had JSX, but here it's definitely not HTML because we cannot use variables in there. So basically we can use any JavaScript in here. So if we say that, so all the characters of Urban are now uppercase. So yeah, that's it. So we had to do that in this exercise. Okay, so let's move ahead. So not only we can add HTML, but we can also add src, like attributes to this. Okay, and we are getting a accessible warning that we have to add alt tag. So we can add that, and we can say a man dancing. Okay, and we can even say like let name equals, I know I don't know this man actually, no offense, but I don't know. So we can say like John, John. Okay, and we can say John. Wait, we have to say the variable name dancing. So it would be, you know, shown to, what do you say, those who cannot render the image on the screen because of internet connectivity, or I don't know, people using screen reader, they won't be able to see the image. That's why. Okay, so that's one. And what other cool thing I noticed, I can actually skip this part. Okay, so if I just say this, it will work. That's pretty cool because it wasn't available in React. So okay, let's move ahead. That was all right here. So like scripts, we can even add styles to our web page right in the component itself. And the coolest thing I noticed, that these styles are scoped to this component, which we will see in the later stage. But this thing dot svelte, like if we have another paragraph on in different component, this style won't affect that, which is really cool, because that's not really, what do you say, you won't find that easily. Okay, so color, we can say purple, font family, comic, actually let's just copy paste because we know it will work, right? So we'll just copy and paste, and there we have it. Okay, so by the way, I should add this before you guys comment if you do. So in React you can use it with CSS modules. Okay, so React uses, I have not used Vue, so I won't comment on that. Okay, so yeah, so let's split our apps into multiple components now. So here also we have a paragraph, and the name of this component is Svelte, and the way we can import it is simply calling including a script and saying, let's say import nested from visuals nested, and we are just assuming that Svelte, that we have this file in the same directory as this file. Okay, and the way we can use it is just by calling nested like this. So what I was telling, that even though we have this paragraph in other component, this one is scoped to this. That's why this paragraph gets the styling and this does not. Okay, which is really cool. And yeah, so we are using capitalized nested, and this is basically a convention to, you know, distinguish between user defined components and the HTML tags. Okay, because that's pretty similar, right? Because even if you use HR like this, you will have simple. So, and if you use this, it won't work. Okay, so here HTML becomes what do you say, case sensitive. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so the way we render strings is exactly a string, so that's why this HTML is not being rendered. If you want to render HTML, you just have to add HTML at the rate HTML before your string or variable name. But there's a catch here. If you want to render, you have to do a sanitization before rendering the strings, because Svelte does not do it for you. So if you don't trust the source of the HTML, don't do it. Okay. Otherwise you will be prone to XSS attacks. Okay. So you have to keep that in mind. Cool. So go ahead. So this basically teaches us how to set up in our own environment, like locally. So there is a guide for Svelte for new developers which we can read through, but since we are just checking out the library, we'll stick to the editor they have given us. So let's move ahead. So Svelte is reactive to every event, okay, we do on our DOM. So let's say if we do something like on click, see the syntax, okay, on colon name of the event, click, then equals, and handle click, okay, that's not capital, okay, and we have to say we want to change the count, okay, so count plus plus, we might do that, or we can say plus equals 1. Now it does that, okay, it does not do that, but you see, so this basically assigns that the reactivity, okay, to this, like when the button is clicked, count will change, and this is dependent on count. Whenever count will change, this has to render, okay, this has to render again. So that's the reactiveness of this. Hope that's easy. Okay, this is interesting. So Svelte will automatically update the count version, but if you want to say something like, let's say if we do like let double doubled equals count times 2, okay, and we render, let's say times 2 equals let's just keep the 0 times 2 equals, let's say we wanna do doubled doubled, okay. So if we do this, so this is updating, okay, so component was already destroyed, okay, so we get a cryptic console log, but this is basically not changing the double, okay. So if you want to change, they said we can do something like reactive declarations, okay. So basically this is saying that whenever the dependent quantity changes, change this as well. So that's basically saying it, okay. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Alternatively, always we can do this count times 2 and it will be the same as that, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Let's move to next. Okay, so $: is really amazing. So this is like use effect in React, like I'm just saying, like, okay. So what we can do is not even not just we can declare things. We can even say like console.log whenever count is changing, okay. So we can say something like the count is count. Wait, obviously we have to give this is not HTML. So yeah, and we can say something like this, and our console log will be log every time the count changes. We can even group them in this manner, like, okay, one console log and one alert. is changing. That's tough. That's really tough. Okay, so we can simply cut it, copy it and paste it here. I said the count is 0. Okay, I said the count is 1. Okay, so it's doing both, right? It's cool. Now let's remove this because it's annoying. We can even add if statement like count is greater than or equal to, I don't know, 20. They're using 10. Okay, no problem. Alert. It won't show us. Now the count is dangerously high. Wait. Yeah, so let's check. And the way we reach 20, the count is dangerously high. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool use effect. Okay, and yeah, that's amazing, amazingly like use effect, and I really liked it. Not gonna lie. Okay, so let's, okay, and we can change the count here as well, 19. Okay, so yeah, let's check. We reach, the count is 19. The count is 19. It's pretty cool. Okay, so this is a bit discouraging. So since the reactivity is triggered on assignments, we cannot, use it with the, the reference data types like array and object. So if we do something like this, we won't be able to do it. Okay, but if we do something like numbers equals numbers, wait, what just happened? Okay, double N, my bad. Yeah, so we are doing this, right? So it's working. So the rule of thumb is, for assignment you have to have the exact variable name on the left side of equals. Okay, if that's not the case, it won't update. Okay, so we can even do something like they have written here. So we can say something like, we can destructure, spread the array, and then say like numbers dot length plus 1, and that will work just fine. So the rule of thumb is, there should be the number, or we should assign the number to update it, or the variable to update it, which is pretty annoying for reference data type, because we will use this quite more often than just a simple state variable. But okay, that's fine. We can have some let's move ahead. All right, so props. So right now we were dealing with the variables inside that component, but with props we can pass variables from one component to another. So we can say something like, we are using this, we can export it. Okay, so this may sound or look a little weird, because that's now how generally we export the things from JavaScript, but let's just roll with it and see what they have to offer. Okay, so right now we just saw how we can use basically a variable within the component, right? So here it is undefined because we haven't seen, but we are passing answer here, which is how we pass a prop, right? So how we can do it, we can simply say export, and that's not how we generally do it. That's not how we export things from JavaScript, but let's roll with it. Okay, and yeah, now it's showing 42, which we are sending from app to nested. So we are passing props, we are passing variables, we are passing values from one component to other. Okay, So we are exporting answer and we are accepting answer from that, which is pretty alien right now, but let's roll with it and let's see what they have to. Now right now we have something like this. What if we do something like we don't offer anything, we don't show any, so the answer is undefined, so we are getting undefined. So let's give a mystery like they, so we can define default props as well. So we can even spread the props. So what I mean by that, basically we have an object pkg. So in the image we saw how we can just simply say src, and that will be equivalent to src equals src, right? So what we can do is simply here call pkg, but we spread that. Okay, so we spread that, and spreading that basically gives spreads all this properties to this. Okay, and here they have said in rare cases we might want to access all the props that are not exported, but it's not generally recommended, and it's difficult for Svelte to optimize it. Okay, so we have logic now. We can add if else, actually it's not else, just if in our HTML. Okay, so what we can do is we can simply say hash if user dot logged in oh god, we want to render this, and we can close the if by /if, and we can say again, let's just copy and paste it. Block was open but not closed. Okay, and we can simply say if. Okay, so okay, we have to give an exclamation mark. Okay, we are logged out, we are logged in, we are logged out, we are logged in, we are logged out, we are logged in. Okay, so let's use our previous knowledge and let's console.log user. Okay, so let's say logged in, logged out, logged in, logged out. So it's changing the logged in status of user. Okay, which is pretty cool, and it's rendering according to that. So yeah, it's logic in your HTML. Congrats. Next. Alright, so now we have else. Since else these are mutually exclusive, we can simply say :else, and that will do the same thing. So basically in block, hash denotes the opening of block, colon indicates the continuation of block, and / indicates the closing of a block. Okay, so basically it says you have already learned almost all syntax Svelte adds to HTML. Okay, so we have learned almost all of the Svelte. So now we have the a bit cryptic if else condition. Okay, a bit cryptic if else condition. So we can simply add this if block to that else, like we do in our programming languages, and we can remove this, and we can remove this if closing, and there we have it. Okay, so I hope that's the same. Yeah. Okay, so 7 greater than 10, no. Greater than 5, yes. So 7 is greater than 5. Wait, oh, 5 is greater, no. My bad. Else 7 is between 5 and 10. Okay, cool, there we have it. Okay, now we have loops. Okay, so what do? We use each. Okay, we use something called as each. So we'll open a block each and we'll simply say cats as cat, and we'll close by simply slash each. Okay, that should solve, right? Interestingly, we can even add I, okay, and what we can say, we can simply say I, and that basically has index of that. So basically cats should be an array or array like object, and then there can be we can have something like what do you say, the element, each element and their index, okay, and we can even destructure name and ID from there, okay, and we can say simply name. Cat is not defined, where's cat? Okay, so we can say ID, and there we go, we have it. So we can even destructure it, we can have ID and element and only element as well, and each is basically for looping over an array. So yeah, that's fine, that's all. Okay, by default if we add or remove from the element in each, so what this will do, this will by default add or remove at the end of the block, like see this, watch this carefully. Okay, if we remove first element, so initial block is not exported, okay, so you might not be able to see, but initial is constant and we are exporting current and we are passing as props current, okay, we are passing props current as thing.color, okay. So what are we doing, we are removing, okay, so you can see the last was removed, right, last was removed, if you can see, because initial is not updating, so you can check that, okay. But what do you want to do, we are actually removing from first, okay, we are slicing from the first, okay. So what can we do, we can pass a key or unique identifier to things.id or thing.id, actually thing.id. This would be a unique identifier, and you can see the first thing is going replacing, okay. So yeah, that's one thing for telling Svelte to keep an eye on what you say, basically you are giving a unique identifier to this. If you have used React, you would relate to it as key to the array.map, right, okay. So yeah, it's basically saying giving a unique identifier, and you want to do that to be on a safer side, okay, so that Svelte does what you tell it to do. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so this is crazy, we can even resolve promises in our HTML itself. So this one is promise, okay, so this is fetching some data from this, and basically it's a async function. So what we can do, we can simply call like await, hash await, hash basically what we have been using, promise, okay. So we can say waiting, okay, waiting, okay. Now when the promise get resolved, then we can say p, the number is number, okay, and after if there's any error we can add a catch block, and we can simply say error message like this, and we can end like every other block slash await, okay. Number is not defined, why are we getting this error, let's promise, okay, then number, okay. So we have to assign some error is not defined, catch error, like we have to give a variable, right? Okay, number is 99. Cool. So till it's fetching, it will show waiting, and when it's done fetching, and we can omit this. Okay, we can simply omit, like we can simply say await promise, and when it resolves then number. You can simply say like this. Okay, so when it get resolved, okay, we're getting error. Okay, and we can even omit the catch block, but since we are getting error in this, we would not want to do that anyways. So we saw this before also with on click, so we have to just on colon, let's say mouse move event, and we can add the function handle mouse move, and that should work. It's not working though. Okay, it will work in this. Okay, it's updating the what is it, X and Y of my mouse. If I go here, the least it's not getting to 0 0. No problem. Okay, so yeah, that's how we handle DOM events. So we can add inline functions as well, like we can simply say m equals, we can update the object like so, e comma client dot client x, and y colon e client y, and it will work just fine. So these codes are optional, okay, but it is necessary for some syntax highlighting in some environments. Okay, so in some frameworks you may get recommendations like you should avoid inline event handlers, but in Svelte it does not recommend it. I mean, it whichever way you choose, Svelte's compiler will handle it. That's pretty cool. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Like we can have some modifiers, like right now if we click it will work every time, right? But let's say we wanna have it work only once. Okay, so once it will work, and after that it will, and there are a list of modifiers, full list of modifiers. You can check them here. For example, prevent defaults basically calls event.prevent defaults. What this will do, let's say if you are submitting a form, by default if you click the submit button, it will re-render the page sending the request to the action, right? But in most of the cases in JavaScript applications, we don't want to do that. We want to handle that in JavaScript through JavaScript, right, to send to our servers, right? In PHP we would do that, but in JavaScript we do not want to do that, and that's where this can come in handy, right? We don't have to write this inside our functions. We can just call a modifier, simple, and we can change multiple modifiers like this, pipe once pipes capture. So that's pretty cool. So we can even dispatch event. Okay, so but first we have to import create event dispatcher, okay, so that we can create a dispatch. So we have to say dispatch, initialize the create event dispatcher. So what we can do, we can simply here click say dispatch, and we can give name of the event as message, and give an object which will be the detail of the event, and we can say hello. And what this will do, this will say hello. We can change hello Arpan, and this will say hello Arpan. So what this is doing, this is basically dispatching a message, okay, a message event, and we can say that on message and handle message. Okay, so when message is dispatching, so what this is doing, basically when we are clicking, we are calling the say hello function, and say hello function dispatches a message, basically triggers a message. Okay, you can say that. So when on message, okay, so when that inner component dispatches a message, we are calling handle message, and handle message basically contains this event, and the text of that, basically the detail of the dispatch is inside event.detail. We can simply say that console, let's console log event, and let's check that object. Okay, so let's check that object. Message could not be cloned. Open DevTools to see it. Okay, let's open the DevTools. Running server compiler. Okay, it does not let us see event details. Okay, so the details has the text event.detail. Can we do target? Let's say null. That's bit, I don't know. Okay, that's new. Okay, no problem. Basically that's what is happening. The detail will contain the text. Let's add another property to it, and let's say great, and let's call it a function. Let's say function, and let's say console.log none. I don't know why. And let's call it here event.detail .greet. Okay, let's check none. Okay, basically detail contains all the dispatched details. Okay, that's good. So unlike DOM events, component event don't bubble up, right? Like we have same code, we have on message, handle message, we have inner, but there's outer, right? Outer component which then has inner. So we have some layer of components, right? And this component is not dispatching the message. Okay, and this component is not rendering the inner component directly. So if we say something like this, it won't happen. Okay, it won't happen, it just won't happen, right? So what we can do, we can either dispatch from here like they are doing. You can forward the email message from here, and then event.detail as well, but that's a lot of code, right? So what we can simply do is we can do this, and this will forward the message event. Okay, forward the message event to the upper whatever. Basically we are exporting it as prop. Okay, that's what we are doing. Okay, but this is called event forwarding. Okay. Okay, so it will work on DOM element 2. Like right now it's a button which is included in this, and we have an on click, but it's not happening, nothing is happening. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply say on click, we can forward this to app, and now it's working. Next, so binding. Okay, so before binding we can say something like on input. I hope this works. Event. Okay, and we wanna change name as e.target.value. Okay, so if we say something like this, now this will work, right? But we have to do it with every other elements, right? This on input, what is it, event. So there's a simple technique to it. Let me show you what this will do. If I remove it, it won't work. Okay, so my code was working, this won't work. What we can do, we can simply bind. Okay, we can type bind to this, and what this will do, this will basically say that not only update the value of this input, but also change the name variable, okay, so that it can update everywhere. Okay, so that's very simple, right? So, okay, as you might know, in DOM elements everything is string, okay, not numeric. So when we are dealing with numeric input types like range or number, we have to take that into consideration, but bind will help us with that. Okay, so we can simply say bind value, and we can say bind value. Okay, and when we do this, this basically changes a and updates it. Okay, and I have not changed the down here, and you can see it's not updating like this. So we can do like this, and bind, it's bind, and we can do like this. So yeah, if we are updating, this will update as well. Okay, cool. The checkbox basically toggle between states, right? So it should, change to true or false. So we instead of values, we can even bind to this check. Okay, and once it is checked, it will update the state as well. We can bind even groups, right? Like we have radio box right now. We can check each of them. I cannot uncheck it, obviously. We can simply say bind groups. Okay, we can simply say bind group, and we can simply say bind group. This binds to the group, and group is scoops, and scoop is 1. Okay, so yeah, and okay, that's Bing, not Bing, Chandler, it's bind. Okay, now this works fine. Now we can even add to this, but since this is in fact, what do you say, checkbox, we can simply say, what you say, we can simply we will be able to select multiple. Okay, since this is checkbox, so let's see. Okay, this one is we ordered one scoop. Okay, so what we can do is we can have an array of menu, and then we can use each to render the checkboxes, and we can copy and paste them. Okay, this is basically refactoring our code. Okay, this not at all related to our binding lecture. Okay, so let's give each menu as flavor, FLAVOUR, and let's end the each, and we can have something like groups flavors. We can have value as flavor, and we can have here as well that flavor. And now you can see, yeah, it's awesome. So we can group checkbox and read buttons using bind. Okay, the text areas is basically like that only, but it's not updating. So what we can do, we can simply put bind here, and what this will do, this will allow to write us. That's good. And you know what, we can even skip this part and this will work just fine. This will work just fine. Okay, this will work just fine because the attribute and variable is same. We can add bindings to select as well. So now if we do it, we change, and let me show you what this will do if we did not have it. You can say it's waiting even if you're changing. Okay, so that's pretty much it actually, because we haven't done so it will have the, on refresh when we add, it will select the first one, okay, because that's the behavior. Okay, so select can have multiple attributes so that we can select multiple item at once. Okay, so let's try this. We'll add multiple attribute and we'll bind the value as well as flavors. So if you recall, this one is the exact same example, okay, from previous, and we can change this to option, which should contain the value of flavor, and it should even render flavors as well. So we can add here flavor. Okay, this should work. And if we try, okay, but it's not working like it should have, right? So bind value equals flavor, multiple spelling is correct. Let's try and remove it. What this will do, okay, then what's the, okay, we can do something like this. Okay, we can have something like this. Ooh, that's amazing. Okay, I did not know that. That's a learning. Okay, so next to this, like we can say HTML equals, let's say HTML, and when we do this, we can even add like h1, and this is rendering HTML as it is. Okay, so that's pretty good. And if we try, adding HTML, this would render something like this. So we can add h1, and we can say hello. I know it's not correct, and it will not do that. Why is it? And that's because we are editing it in HTML. Let's text content, And now if you try h1, and that's how it's done. Right. So yeah, we are revising on it. Okay, so we can even bind to properties inside each. Okay, so like even if we are clicking it, it's not updating, right? So what we can do, we can simply say bind checked, bind checked, and we can say bind value. Okay, and now if we click, it will update. And now if we add, and we can say hello, and we can even add more, and we can clear completed. And yeah, that's pretty cool, right? So yeah, we can add bind to inside of the each. Okay, so we can add bindings to audio and video as well, and there are a few bindings, several bindings. Like we can add current time, we can bind to duration, we can bind to pause. So let's quickly copy and paste and check what happens. So I played this video and I was not able to pause it, right? I can not pause it. So let's try and change that, because it's not bind to pause, right? So now if you try, okay, even we can seek as well. Obviously the functions are written for it, we have to check what's happening. So yeah, it's updating the time obviously when we click and drag our mouses, but it's pretty cool really. So every block level element has width and height, client width and client height, which we can bind to. So let's say right now we are able to resize it, but let's bind the height of this. So we can say bind client height equals h, and we can say bind client DTH equals W. And yeah, so we were able to change undefined to numeric. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, these are read-only properties, by the way. You can't change it, and actually if you will change it, there would be no effect on it. Okay. So bind this. Okay, so this is a read-only property which basically gives a reference to that element or component. So we can bind this to the variable canvas, and if you see, this will start the animation which it was not doing before it. Okay, it's not valid. Okay, let's go back and let's just cut it out, and yeah, it's back to normal. Okay, so they are telling that canvas will be undefined when the component is mounted. That's why they have added a lifecycle method on mount, which we will read just after sometimes. So we can even bind props. Okay, like we were doing to normal HTML components, we can do it with components. Actually, I mean HTML tags, we can do it to user defined components. So let's bind value to the pin variable. Okay, so before that, let me show you. Before that, if we type pin, it wasn't doing anything. If we do that, it will update it. Submitted pin. Okay, so yeah, we can do it as well. Now we have lifecycle method. Lifecycle methods are basically the methods which will run during the lifecycle of that component. So component will be mounted and be unmounted. So the lifecycle method onMount will be called when the component is mounted, and onDestroy will be called onDestroy, right? Yeah. So onDestroy will be called when the component is destroyed or unmounted. So in this, the most frequently actually is onMount according to them. So let's import onMount from Svelte and onMount, and so basically onMount we want to fetch any data after the component is mounted, right? So right now it's showing loading because we are having actually a promise or anything. Yeah. So yeah, we don't have any photos. So what we'll do, we'll call this onMount and we'll see how we're doing. This is basically like use effect. So onMount async await, and it's passing a URL, basically fetching it, and the photos is the res.json. Basically the photos are the response after formatting it as JSON. So yeah, that's how we awesome. So that's onMount. Okay, that's a lifecycle method. And if we return a method from this, okay, from this onMount, it will be called when the component is destroyed, okay, which we'll see later. So onDestroy basically, as I told you, called when the component is destroyed, right? So we can have a set interval which will run when the component is alive, and it will be cleared to prevent the memory leak when the component is destroyed, right? And actually it's important to call lifecycle function during the component initialization, but it's not important where the code is written. So we can even write the code here, okay? So what we'll do, we'll simply copy this and paste it inside this. Okay, so basically we are calling a set interval which will accept a callback and in milliseconds, and we import this thing in here, and we can import, and actually we don't need it here, so we can remove that, and we can import on interval, and we can set seconds to 0 and then increment it. Okay, I don't know how to check it but yeah, basically it will clear the interval when we will I don't know when this component will be destroyed, when we move to another page or something like that. Okay, so this before update and after update work in sync actually. So what this does, before update fires up when immediately before the DOM is about to update, okay, and after update is its counterpart, which is being called after the DOM is in sync with our data, right? So for example, in here our chat box right now, if we say hello, it won't auto scroll it even though the DOM is updated, right? So what we'll do, we'll add some code to update the to auto scroll it. Okay, so let's auto scroll. Before updating, we want to add this auto scroll equals div and offsite. So let's add this and see what happens. We won't add the after update just yet. Okay, so let's try this, and okay, let's keep this short. Okay, and let's see, it doesn't do anything. What it does, basically it gives auto scroll sets to div and okay, so basically it gives true or false. Okay, so we can console log auto scroll I don't know why I'm doing it. I could just show you. It's this. Okay, so now it's false. Okay, so whenever the DOM scroll top is greater than offset height, okay, so this height plus scroll top, okay, is greater than scroll height minus 20, this will become true. Okay, so let's say if auto scroll is true, then I wanna go to the end of the scroll height. So if we do hello now, we will go at the very end of this. Okay, I hope that's clear. I hope that's clear. If it's not clear, please read it again. Okay, so note that will run before component has bounded, so you can check the existence of dev before reading its property. So yeah, that's what we are doing. We are checking if the dev exists, right? Okay, so take the other life cycle is a bit tricky. I have been reading this for a while now and I still didn't get it. So basically what happens is that when we update a state in Svelte, the DOM does not update it immediately. It waits for the other micro task to be completed, and doing so avoids, basically it says doing so avoids the unnecessary work and allows browser to do things more effectively. Okay, so what we can check here, if we select some text, okay, and we press tab, so you see this turns to uppercase, but our cursor, see it again, it will go at the end, okay, which is annoying actually. So what we can do, we can import tick and we can add await tick here to that behavior. But if we do not call this won't be rendered. Like selection start, okay, let me show you. You see the selection was like that only. Okay, so before this was not happening because it was waiting for the other thing to do. Okay, so the DOM hasn't updated yet, that's why this has no effect, and the what do you say, basically I'm not getting exact things to explain, but yeah, I'll search about it. And so I did a bit of research and it's actually same as set state, the the other function. Like when we call set state, and okay, I won't give React references because most of you might not know React, but basically what is happening, the DOM hasn't been updated yet, right? So this won't be this won't have any effect, which you can read it here as well, but still it is being executed, but it does not have effect. So what this does, await tick basically waits for the DOM to update with the state, and then this will be rendered. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you can relate it to React, this is basically the second argument of set state. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it for this first part of the video, and yeah, I'll see you in the next part. We have a lot to cover, so, and it's 3 in the morning and I need to sleep. Okay, so we have a lot to cover. We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 till 19 we have to go for our next steps guide. Anyways, if you followed till now, please subscribe if you haven't. It's my duty to say, but yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace, bye.